Don't touch that. So you want to learn karate, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? You mean yes, sir?
You must be pretty good to win all this stuff.
Well, I don't like to brag or anything.
Yeah, I bet you're almost as good as Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris? He doesn't compete anymore, kid. And one of the main reasons he doesn't is me.
Okay, let's,
Yeah.
He doesn't compete because I would kick his ass.
Let's go, son. Come
Yeah.
on.
Kick his ass.
That's it.
Chuck Norris.
In a dark corner of the world, three men will work together to bring you a podcast like no other. This is Fanatically Correct, where the fans, the geeks, and the nerds are always correct. With your host, MSK, Yo Peace, and Omega.
So I'll try and say this 3 times fast. Retro martial arts action.
That was
Say
three
it, but
times
you got to
fast.
say it fast, though. You need
Like
to say
fast?
it really
Retro martial
You
arts
said 3
action.
times fast,
Retro
and you said
martial
it 3
arts action.
times slower.
Retro martial arts action. Retro martial arts action. Okay, kind of just to give it a basic breakdown. We're not just talking martial arts, because then we'll go through Kung Fu era, the 70s. We'll go now and talk about Matrix, and we'll be all over the place. We don't want to talk about just action, because then it's not just martial arts. Then we have to get into Sylvester Stallone and Terminator movies and John Wick and all kinds of stuff. That even though John Wick has a little bit of martial arts action too, but it's not retro. Retro, we're trying to define a specific area, so we're kind of talking about the mid 80s all the way through to like early the 90s
or mid
kind of being
90s.
Mid 90s. I would say mid 90s.
yeah, to like mid 90s. Yeah, what's being kind of considered the retro era right now. We'll see what that's considered 20 years from now, but for now, that's pretty much what people are thinking when they talk retro. And we know that because there's a lot of 80s nostalgia, early 90s nostalgia going around, and reboots of shows and new shows, and
a lot of reboots.
It's kind of like a gimmick thing. So, yeah. So I'm your host, Omega,
MSK.
Yo, peace.
and yeah, we're gonna try and talk about retro martial arts action films. And I mean, we're 80s babies, all three of us. Some much later 80s than others.
Yes.
But overall, this is kind of like when this era was perfected. We talked about in the trailers episode, like Death Wish 3. That is not a retro martial arts action. I'm just talking about like the trailer was like that era of the like he's gonna take on everybody with his feet, with his hands, with it. You know what I mean? It's like it kind of was that a bit of that era. I would probably go first. Personally, I'm gonna say. I mean, we got a lot of good nerd stuff too that we'll get into. But if we kind of like grab an actor, each actor will give us about an array of, because you know what I mean, of several martial arts action films. So I'll go the easy one first. Steven Seagal, since he doesn't have anything recent going on. And yeah, man, I think that good. They were bad. Okay, and that's what I understand.
They were awesome.
For people to understand,
that's what
they were. There's bad, and then there's good bad. Those were good bad. They were bad, but they were so enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't take them seriously. Like, oh, this is a great plot. It was the same plot like every movie he did. I think he played the same named character half the time too. You know, it's the same. It's almost the same plot, almost the same character. They change up the villains here and there, and you almost had the same scenes in every movie. Yeah, same ponytail. You always had at least 2 or 3 bar scene fights where he beat up 30 guys in a bar. You know, like they're all. But it was just so. I mean, in Spanish we say patapalo, which is like break stick, and it was just like this thing. He was just always busting guys up, and that was him the whole movie. But he just did it. You know, that was the first like introduction of the Aikido and that style of martial art, because our reference before then was more flamboyant, you know, Bruce Lee and Kung Fu and high kicks and roundhouses and jumping kicks and flying. And this guy was just snapping.
He didn't move at all. He didn't really move.
He actually used their force to bring him down.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Aikido is. But I mean, he really, for an action star, I guess he didn't do much action. I guess he just kind of flipped him.
He didn't have he didn't have action star build, and he still doesn't. You know what I mean?
Well, he's a lot older now.
It wasn't built that way. And don't get me wrong, this guy, even to this day, in real life, is not somebody you actually want to get into a physical altercation. He is the real deal. You know what I mean? This wasn't just for screen. But it's like it transferred onto screen so great because like you're used to hearing the punch and the sound of the punch blocked and the sound of a kick blocked and the sound of a kick hitting a face, but the sound of bones snapping that was kind of like kind of like the breaking ground for his films. You know the just like guy. Oh man.
So which of the movies do you guys remember from it, like specifically? Because I don't remember like his character names or anything from his movies.
Nico, man. What is it? Out for Justice? I
definitely Nico.
To me, that's the one that they always play.
Oh yeah,
that's the one to this day they play. And then the villain in that one's horrible because that guy, that's like the worst Steven Seagal villain I think he's ever had. Because the one with the Jamaican twins or whatever, they were like samurai sword guys. Yeah. Like he actually had boss level villains. But then this guy was just like that guy couldn't fight to save his life. Right. It's the cop from Deuce Bigelow.
It was.
You know what I mean? Like this guy is not. You know what I mean? And he's just like some crazy guy. Like he can't fight to save his life, and it's just him running around town going after this guy. And it's like everybody he's interrogating to get to this guy is 100 times tougher than this actual guy. You know, it's like I don't know why anyone's scared of this guy and protecting him, that they have to get their bones snapped and their wrist twisted 3 times, different ways that it's not supposed to go in over this guy. But
that was above the law. Which movie was that?
I think that was above the law. Maybe that might have been his first movie.
No, you're right.
Though, right?
Yeah. I think you're right. It's above the law. Above the law is that one, not Out for Justice. Out for Justice, I think, is the one where he's in a coma. Oh my God! Look at these.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean? My back.
See, that one was good. That one was really good. That one was actually good. I actually enjoyed that movie because it was so crappy. Like this man was in a coma and he still was able to like come out of it and just kick ass straight up. Like there was no doubt about it. My man was rolling down in a hospital bed. Okay, if y'all don't remember that. He was rolling down the hospital bed, kicking ass. You remember that? Because that scene happened.
Listen, man, I think Bourne Identity kind of got its story from there because this guy couldn't remember his name, but he could remember how to break a guy's wrist in 3 places. Kind of like Bourne Identity.
Yeah. I'm reading some of these movies because these are really old movies, man. I have to rewatch these. I specifically remember Above the Law and the one you guys were just talking about, Hard to Kill. That's the one with the coma.
That's the one.
Yeah. And then Under Siege is the one in the boat.
Under Siege was amazing.
Under
but
Siege,
you know
the
what?
first one. The first one. The second one was
Tommy Lee Jones, man. That scene in the under the ship when they go at it with the knives.
The knives,
yeah.
Great scene. That's a great scene.
That one, and actually it wasn't a martial arts movie, and he had barely. Spoiler alert! If you're actually gonna watch this movie, the one with Kurt Russell and John Leguizamo, and John Leguizamo was like,
I remember. That's
the airplane one where Seagal's in it for like 20 minutes, and it's one of the best roles that Seagal's had because it was like a serious action movie.
Yeah,
and Under Siege was the same thing. Like all his other movies were kind of like just that campy, like I say, bad joke 80s one. But Under Siege was like the budget was thrown at him. You know what I mean? They actually gave him Tommy Lee Jones, who was a decent actor. That means he wasn't as big as he is now, but he was a paid actor at that time, a decent one. So they gave him a recognizable villain. He's on the ship. It's actually shot better, like better quality. Better actors all around. The girl plays his daughter and everything. It's like it actually has like a better setup. So it's like you said, it is amazing because and it was finally a different take from all the others because all the other stuff was him on the streets chasing someone down,
ass, being a cop and kicking ass.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well, Executive Decision. Do you guys remember how long he was in that movie?
Which one?
Executive Order? I think it was Executive Order.
No, Executive Decision. That was the one with
Executive
Decision. That's what it was.
How long is he in that movie? Like screen time, what, 10 minutes?
2 minutes.
I would say like 10 minutes. I remember him being gone so fast.
Just for the hell of it. 2 minutes.
Well, because he has the opening scene is great because, and that's the whole thing that they kind of went back to that now, and it makes sense. Like the martial arts movies now aren't at all what they were then because they're not really highlighting the high kicks. They're going more practical.
Right.
Born Ultimatum.
I mean, the mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it Taken, and that's kind of more where Steven Seagal was at. I mean, some high risk kicks are nice too for the flair, and he wasn't that guy. Right. But overall, it was the more practical martial arts, closer to Krav Maga and what these guys do. So, and fair, I gotta be fair. He kind of set the path up for what we get now in like every action movie.
Yeah, it's more grounded.
What Tom Cruise is doing, So you got to be fair in that. But yeah, I mean, just the brutality of it, man. And being a kid and watching that, I don't think we should have been watching that. You know, because there's a lot
Probably
of
not.
cursing and
Probably
vulgarity and those styles of films. But man, it was just like it was so fun to watch. I mean, so I really Steven Seagal because I think he was just one of those trendsetters, and I brought him up.
Especially with the ponytail. I'm sure everyone tried to grow a ponytail before.
I mean, not everybody tried to grow a ponytail, sir.
I'm sure everyone tried.
I
Just
did
not all
not
of us
try to
could.
grow no
Yeah.
ponytail.
Not all of us could.
Yo, piece of myself definitely that was not in the books that we were going
Not in the
to.
books.
It was
for you
not
guys.
possible for me to grow any ponytail, sir.
Yeah.
So what do we got
Steven
next? What do we got next?
Seagal. We got a list of them here, man. I mean, we could go take a jump to a different direction, go a little bit more nerdy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm gonna bring that up, and because that's like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
The
and
real one, not the one
yeah,
that came out a couple years ago.
No nostrils, the Splinter, the Shredder, and I'm not even gonna go into part 2 and 3 and the time travel one or whatever. Which I mean, there's still decent movies, especially the second one, because you have that kid, which we'll talk about that too, from Surf Ninjas,
Oh, yeah.
and he was kind of a big martial artist during the retro era of martial arts. But the thing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as far as the martial arts part of it, you got to respect what they're doing in those suits. I mean, those are look like
Yeah,
big,
they were probably dying in
heavy
those suits is what
suits.
was happening.
and they got some real martial artists to do that stuff. And I don't know. I mean, you guys take it away because you're younger, so I'm pretty sure it was like bigger on you guys than it was, for me. I mean, did you guys see it in the theaters? The first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw that one, but I remember watching it and going, "This is way." It was way deeper than the cartoons because you see the
drama wise.
What was the scene where they captured Splinter?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
they're
the-
torturing him.
Yeah, and the brothers are all like sad and depressed in that cabin or wherever they're hiding out. But that scene
Yeah.
was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wasn't fortunate enough to watch the first movie here in the theater, but I did see part 2 in the theater.
2 in the theater. Yeah, I think all of
Yeah,
us did.
that's the
Most people
campier
did.
one though. That's not as serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, sadly, I think the second one probably did better in the theaters or the first, because the first kind of cult classic. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
a lot of people caught in the dollar theater later, and then it became a big video hit because it's one of those movies that, okay, this is for kids, and yeah, technically it is because your kids are watching the cartoon. But I'm guessing, for the adults, are like, hey, wait a minute, these are not bad movies, and they're not. You know what I mean? They're not. They're the second one, like you said, got campier. The third one, forget about it. I remember I was already in like middle school or whatever when the third one came out, and I was like, this is like some really kiddie stuff. And you go back and watch the first one, it's still like he said, it actually has more drama to it. Like they really gave it a more comic book feel.
They did.
Yeah, it
which
was
is when I
darker.
found
the
out it
comic
was a
book is
comic
very
book.
dark.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when I found out it was a comic book, because I thought it was originally just a cartoon, like Transformers was, and a lot of the stuff that came in that area where it went from either toy or cartoon, and then the other stuff came, and that's when I found out it was the DC comic, and I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Makes
I am I know you guys know, but I am a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that I still love those movies. I don't like the new ones. That's just my take on it. But I do enjoy some of the newer things. I do enjoy one of the TV shows that came out for kids, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, one of the new animations.
One of the new ones that came out. Not the latest one, but it was one that my son started watching, and I started watching it with him. And I can tell you that you can go back to those cartoons, and you can actually appreciate it because they did a lot of homage to those movies when they came out. So
Yeah.
that's why
Right.
I enjoyed those actual animations.
Well, that's like when the animation, what was it, TMNT, that one came out.
Yeah.
It had that darker tone too, and that was the thing that we, when you watch the original cartoon, they're very campy.
Yeah.
You know
They're
what I
very
mean?
campy.
Like
Yeah.
all of that stuff is just like in the neutrinos. It's like it's just so over the top,
Yeah.
campy. And then they set a different, darker tone when they actually made the film. Apparently back to its original
Right.
concept. And but outside of that, it's like it was actually. It wasn't even bad. It was to me, it's a good movie. I mean, you watch it again now, it holds up because it's all practical effects.
Yeah.
Those are great costumes, great puppeteering, great makeup, and the action. The coordination fight sequences are great. You got you got good.
No,
kicks,
it's like a
good
classic.
blocks, good everything.
It's a classic movie. It's a classic martial arts movie if you watch it. Just
And I mean,
pretend
think
there's no
about
ninja turtles in there, and it's a straight up martial arts movie.
Think about it. Those guys were in that suit doing those flips, and
It's amazing.
that was movie magic. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
the real movie magic there. Like there was
No,
no,
and it's
CGI.
especially
none of
we're talking about CGI. Even then, even in practical effects, the athleticism, because now even with the practical effects, they have like the harnesses and to do the flips. These are just guys doing flips with a turtle costume on. So kudos to the guys that know they can't CGI anything out. So kudos to the guys making the costume so good that head ain't flying off, or this guy's doing a flip or a jump, or a flying roundhouse, or a flying sidekick. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, the guy in the suit, with all that extra weight and heat, and there's no way that those suits like in Disney and stuff now, where they have like the air conditioning system and stuff, and now they do like those ice pack cooling suits for other movies when they wear big hot suits. That wasn't around back then. These guys worked. These guys worked.
Also, I like the first April better. Just saying, they're putting it out there.
I'm gonna agree with that too.
I agree.
I'm gonna agree with that too. Oh, you guys know who makes like a little cameo? Well, I guess it's not a cameo.
Oh, I know who you're gonna say. I know who you're gonna say, sir. Because I remember his line too in it, which was crazy.
Do you remember his line?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember him saying a line, and I was like, "Is this no?"
Yeah. It was funny because last time I saw it was a couple of years ago, maybe when my son was a little younger. It was Sam Rockwell.
Yep.
The guy from Moon, the guy from Iron Man 2.
What?
Yep.
And he's like a thug.
Right.
He's like a thug leader or something.
He's one of the thugs. Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm today years old finding that out.
Yes, sir.
Man,
that's funny. But I don't remember his line. Do you remember, what was his line?
Still his face. It was such a cheesy line. Like,
man,
I'm telling you, like his line. Like, I remember it, watching it, and I didn't catch it till like a couple of years ago when I started showing my son. I was showing my daughter the movies, and I saw him, and I was like, oh my goodness, how great. Like since when? And he had a cheesy line, like a really cheesy line. I think he had like about 2 lines in that movie.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yep, that's funny, man.
Classic.
Yeah, I remember seeing him going, man, that guy looks familiar, and I had to rewind it.
Nah, it's the same face. There's no way. It's the same.
face. It's the same face. Just a little younger, but yeah, it's the same face. He must have been like in his early 20s.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring up a couple of nerdy ones again before we go to like a Chuck Norris or a Dolph Lundgren, or we'll get into those. But a couple of nerdy ones, because it gives us an opportunity to bring up some con stuff, is to the beat of the rhythm of the night. Yo, pieces of jam.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out
there.
Okay,
before we say the name of the movie.
That's my favorite 80s
all-time
song. I'm telling you right now. Favorite
now,
80s
do you like
song.
the movie because of the song, or you like the song?
I don't know. I think I've been
thinking.
Inception into this, but this.
I know. I have the same dilemma. I don't know if I like the movie because of the song or the song because of the movie, but I can't see that movie without thinking about that song. And I don't mean seeing the whole movie. Obviously, I mean if I see a picture from that movie, I start thinking that song. But if I hear that song, I have to think that movie.
Yeah,
I just can't. I can't. They're like married to each other. It's just Oh man, what's the name of that group again? The Varge.
The Varge. Yep.
The Varge. Surprise! That's great. But yeah, we've actually we've all Yopi's actually this past weekend at MegaCon in Orlando, and MSK and myself together over at SuperCon a couple years back. We actually met the actor Bruce Leroy Taimak. How do you pronounce it? I don't say his name to him when I've shaken his hand and talked to him because I don't want to mispronounce his name to him.
Well, because that guy can still kick your ass. Like, he's still very much in shape.
We told him that. He was there when MSK and I saw him. He was there when Ralph Macchio and the big guy from Karate Kid were there, and a few other martial artists that from that era, from the retro martial arts era. And I was talking to him. He actually laughed, and I said to him like, "Man," and you look at him. The guy looks great, man. He's such a great shape. And I told him, I told straight, I'm like, "Listen, man, you'd kick all these guys' asses then and now." And he just kind of laughed and nodded like, "Yep."
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Taimak. Taimak.
Yeah.
Taimak. That's a cool name.
But
he's so engaging,
man.
He's a nice dude, man. He's a really cool guy.
He was still awesome. Like like you said, I just met him, and he is so down to earth. He like I just couldn't. We honestly just like didn't even know he was at the con. To be honest with you, he was just he had a booth. He didn't like there was no crazy announcement, but as soon as we looked to the side and we saw that poster, and we looked down. It was like straight up like we have to meet this man.
Yeah. The good thing about someone like him and a movie like that, you know, for fans when we go to like cons and stuff like that, is that it's a cult classic. So even people now young have seen it because their parents are showing it to them and they like it too. And it's one of those movies that it's good bad. It's when you think about what it is, it's bad. The story's ridiculous. It's over the top. You know, the glowing. Yes, it's insane. And the scene with the kids beating up all these gang members and stuff. I mean, it's just it's you know.
I have
campy.
A very embarrassing story to share with you guys, and this happened to me this weekend.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, I already know what this is. Yes, please.
So this happened to me this weekend.
Your wife mentioned this.
We went up to him and we're telling him, man, like, we love your movie. My wife was telling him how her dad was actually showed her the movie, and she grew up with the movie. You know, I'm in the same way. I'm in the same boat. I'm just in the background, like, yeah, man, like you're great, all this, and my son looks up at this man.
Oh no!
Looks in his soul, and my wife is saying, "Well," and we're showing our son and our daughter the movies, and my son looked up and said, "Well, I fell asleep during the movie."
Oh no! You disown him.
At this moment,
sorry.
I was like,
I don't know this kid.
I don't know who that kid is.
I did that nervous laugh after that. I was like, no, but he saw it afterwards, man. He saw it afterwards. You know,
it was late. It was like 2:30 in the morning. It was late. He hadn't slept all night. Hadn't had coffee.
So he looked up straight in this man's soul and told him he fell asleep. Like, what do I do?
I'm sure he took it. He started laughing. I'm sure.
Oh, no, of course he laughed. But I mean, if you fall asleep and you meet the actor, you don't tell him that you fell asleep.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, I love my son, and that's a true story. That actually did happen this weekend, and I was so embarrassed. So embarrassed.
Your wife posted about that, and I laughed. I was like, "Oh man, that's messed up."
But fun fact about this movie. Guess who made an appearance in this movie? Who you talked about in the last movie of Ninja Turtles?
Was he in this movie too?
Was Sam Rockwell's in this movie too?
No, but
he
that's
wasn't.
funny. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. No,
like,
it
where's
was
this
actually
guy coming from, man? They're just CGIing him into movies. Like, what's happening?
that would be amazing. No, it's actually Ernie Reyes Jr. was in this movie.
Oh yeah, the kid from Turtles 2.
Turtles 2.
Yep. Oh, he was.
And that's when he was the little kid. Oh man, he was awesome.
That's his first. I think that's his first.
Yeah,
movie.
it is. That was his first. Yeah, and he was great in it. Yeah, because that kid's another one. He's a true martial artist, so he was doing all kinds of great stunts in that film. And then of course he did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and one that's another one that's like it's borderline bad.
We can segue into that one. That's fine.
I'm gonna talk about it. It's a little. It's
Surf Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a little bad.
Awesome.
I don't think it's good bad, and it's not bad, but it's a little. I don't know, man. There's some bad stuff in the movie, but
Surf Ninjas was made for just kids.
Like, it was for kids. It was
straight up. That was perfect for my demographic at that time.
It was Rob Snyder. I don't think he belonged in that movie. Like I think.
Oh yeah, you believe? Yeah, he belongs in Aladdin.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Oh no. Hashtag where's Rob Snyder? And Surf Ninjas apparently. Oh man, like I don't know. It was like he just felt too old. You know what I mean? Like he had to be much older than the other actors in that film at the time. Like I don't think that he didn't look like a young Rob Snyder, or maybe
life hit him hard. One of the two.
Partying, he was partying too much.
Remember,
at that time.
that's around the time Rob Schneider was kind of big with SNL, and he started making these movies as the sidekick.
Yeah,
like the Judge Dredd and Surf Ninja. Like he was like that character for a couple of movies.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I enjoy Surf Ninjas. I don't think people that grew up during that time did not enjoy Surf Ninjas.
Nah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a kid friendly martial arts movie, but it was more like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 in the sense that it was more campy with the action. You know what I mean? There was a lot more hitting people with sausage links and with plates and a little less of the actual down gritty vicious action that we saw more in a Chuck Norris film and a Dolph Lundgren film and things like that. And we could touch one more thing of campy, and then we'll get more to those that we're talking about, the darker stuff. And we'll talk because it's also a great con thing, and it's another we've brought them up a few times in the series. But I personally not the biggest fan because same thing was very campy in the martial arts, and I was already in middle school when it became a thing. But it is a retro martial arts series, and it's still kicking today big time. And that's Power Rangers, and it deserves props as an iconic thing because it's still huge,
It's
you know,
very
and
huge.
I get it.
Very, very, especially at the cons, man. It's like, well, I mean, obviously you'll talk about that a little bit more, but I remember watching Power Rangers when I was very, very young, and it was a huge thing to the point where they made like 3 or 4 other shows to mimic the Power Rangers.
Yep.
Like VR Troopers. Remember VR Troopers?
Yes, I remember VR Troopers. I do remember.
They made a bunch of Power Ranger ripoffs, but none of them were as good at all as Power Rangers.
By any chance, was Power Rangers a comic book first or anything? I mean, it was a Japanese series.
It was a Japanese
it
series
came
in the
over here.
70s.
And the thing about that, like, obviously, like, it comes from that Japanese series, and a lot of the actual footage that you see is them. It's not even the original guys.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
reusing.
it's
They're
from the
reusing
70s.
stuff from
Yeah.
the other one. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
a lot of
especially
the
the
footage.
first season.
That makes a lot of sense now because that was the thing. I found it a little too campy with the sparks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like some of the more practical coordinations where it was a little bit more of like a 2-on-1 or 3-on-1. But then when it was like a 7-on-1, guy would throw one kick. It didn't connect with anybody. Sparks were flying and 6 guys would go flying.
Listen.
Yeah.
And that's the 70s
Listen.
stuff, and that makes sense.
Listen.
And then I'm like, yeah, this is
Listen.
bad.
Yeah, they're
Like,
still doing that.
When you're a kid, you want those sparks. You
Yeah.
want that action. You want that explosion. Because I'm saying, as a kid, like
I
you
get
were,
it,
you
yeah, I
were,
get
your
it.
mentality was already out, like, you know, a little older.
Yeah.
But like as
Over
a
the top.
kid, trust me, like
Yep.
you will play and you wanted to see those sparks while you're playing
Yeah.
because it just made it fun for you to watch.
All this campy footage 70s stuff, the more recent stuff looked better. That's the stuff that I didn't mind. But that explosions and the sparks flying and the Zords and a bunch of like Voltron, a bunch of small robots becoming a big one that then fight, and that's the stuff that lost me. That was the stuff that
The
lost
Voltron
me.
stuff?
So any actor in those shows does not feel bad because they had nothing to do with those scenes where it's like a fake city and these 2 guys in costumes pretending to be giants going at it. It's like, oh man, like you guys are really
That stuff
watching
was
this
awesome.
stuff?
That was the
And
best part of the
I
show. What are
get-
you talking about?
Yeah. Now,
I
but
loved
that's
it.
funny because that's the type of stuff that's retro, the nostalgia, where you go back to, like, yeah.
Well,
man,
you know
this
what?
is
I
like
put it this
Godzilla in
way.
the
I put it
30s.
this way. It's like it was also like watching Godzilla back then. Like
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
it's just it's amazing for as a kid. It was amazing for me to watch these giants going at it. It's King Kong in a city.
Yeah.
It's that imagination, and it captured it very well. From like in my opinion, I don't think I don't think there's anybody my age that just. I mean, I'm sure there are people that didn't like it, but for the most part, they captured the audience that they needed to capture, and up to this day, they're still capturing people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's
That's
amazing.
because a lot of people our age are parents now, so like their kids are and this is a good
Enjoying
segue to
it
you, Yopis. Their kids are really into the Power Ranger thing even until this day, and their parents are just remembering all the nostalgia. So it's a really good like family friendly show for everyone to like really dig
And it is because if you look at it, like for example, my son, we didn't introduce him to the first Power Rangers at first. He just liked the action of the Power Rangers itself from the new
And he
the
went
new
back
ones
to the beginning.
and then he got into the old ones. But it's not because we were like, oh, we saw this, you need to watch this. We didn't force him to do it. He just liked it. It captured his imagination. It captured what he wants to do. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that will always like they did it was big. It was big then, and I think it's bigger now.
It's gonna last forever. That's a franchise that's
Well,
never gonna die.
And that's the thing that we've brought it up before on the show because we had joked about it with the Lou Ferrigno thing,
Yeah.
and we've actually made jokes, about that.
That's one of-
It'd be
one of the
hilarious,
first
and I'm still
episodes.
gonna say, and I was thinking it'd still be hilarious if he actually ends up being our first like guest celebrity.
Yeah.
That would be awesome because
That would be great.
But and I slowly but surely through these cons, and I'm bringing that up because we're gonna be doing a con.
Please don't get me in
August, a little
trouble.
bit-
That's all
a little bit more information later. No, I won't. But I'm just saying that specifically Jason David Frank, just Tommy the Green Ranger,
Yes.
the White Ranger, the Gold Ranger. He's done a bunch of stuff, and not just him.
He's also
the one who
been
played Jason.
a Red Ranger. She's also been a Red Ranger.
The Red Ranger, the one who, Jason, I guess, was the Red Ranger, and I forget
Jason
the
was
actor's name.
the Red Ranger.
Yeah.
That was my favorite
Yeah.
character actually. Jason
Yeah.
was awesome.
Well, and that actor, the same thing, and I know that Amy Jo, which is
Amy Jo Johnson.
Kimmy, it was Kimmy or whatever. Most, especially the original crew, of those actors are extremely fan friendly, extremely. I mean, they go out of their way to be so accommodating and affectionate and giving, and I mean, like they're so personable, so relatable, and so someone like me, I'm still not someone who could go back and watch that stuff. And, you know, when I have a kid someday, they're into it. It's going to be rough for me. But in fairness, the part that won't be rough is taking them to the cons. And, you know, Yopis has all kinds of stories now. I'm not going to go trouble, but his kid's been taken on stage by this guy. They've met him for a while and gotten autographs.
They spoke to him, had like a lengthy conversation with him. He's part of the family now. It's great.
Yeah, he's the new uncle for my kids.
Yeah, we don't exist anymore. It's seriously, we don't exist anymore. But yeah, I mean, and you know, Jason David Frank specifically, but you know, but all of them, and that's what we're talking about with the guy from, you know, Bruce Leroy, Timac from the Last Dragon, is that really helps, you know, the fan experience, and we're fanatically correct. So that's what we're talking about. Is like being fandom, you know, a fanboy of things and enjoying that, and that helps huge. And that's one of the reasons why that franchise is still blowing up, because of all the work that the original guys who aren't on the show anymore are still putting in. Don't get wrong, you're getting
he still gets on the show every once in a while, right?
Yes,
the character's
he still
awesome.
has new things. Yeah, no, not only shows, like he still has his own. He's doing YouTube productions and other. He's trying to get into the movie business actually. Yeah. He's trying to like actually still, you know,
and he's probably one of the most renowned and for real martial artists of the bunch. Yeah. I mean, the guy's done MMA and actually competed. Yeah, he's actually competed in MMA, and I know there was a whole thing between him and CM Punk, and there was actually a little thing, and we'll get into that next, with him and Van Damme, which apparently there's a lot of Van Damme stories, unfortunately. Apparently the guy in real life is not the most affectionate, relatable, personal guy from a lot of the stories that are waving out there in the industry. But yeah, you know, and he's for real, and that helps a lot, because when they do, you know, there's a type of acting that you do, like Steven Seagal, not a great actor, right, but he is that guy. He's a badass. So there's some acting he doesn't have to learn to do, because he's for real. And it's the same thing with him. He's for real. The guy, you watch his YouTube videos, and he's always doing these martial arts events as well, and you know, teaching classes like that. The guy's for real. So there's a level the real. Yeah, he's the real deal. Yeah, exactly. So there's a level of confidence that goes into his characters that he plays in these shows and movies. So I get why they would keep using him a lot, particularly, and because he has such a following fan wise, they're taking advantage of those numbers to, you know, bring into their new shows and movies.
That franchise is never going to go away. That's going to be forever. Like especially what Disney owns them, right? Like they own everything.
Yeah, Disney somehow ended up owning them. I have no idea when that happened.
Like everything.
That was not even big news, and that never came on the news that I remember. Like it just it happened.
It's insane, just overnight. Yeah. We own the Power Rangers. So, like we were saying about someone who's not apparently so fan friendly or industry friendly for that matter, but, and I don't know, man. He's gotten better as an older guy, but we'll talk about his earlier stuff first, and that is Jean-Claude Van Damme is definitely retro martial arts action.
I think he's the best action star when it comes to martial arts movies.
Well, he's in the best time travel film ever.
And the best time, the best time travel.
He definitely is in the best time travel.
Best time travel. That movie's great, man. That movie's really cool. I recently saw that maybe about, I don't know, 6 months ago. And it's still very entertaining.
You know what? That's a movie, and I'm not trying to, cause I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. I've never met him as personally, so I'm not sure how he is with his fans. But I can.
It's all hearsay. So.
But I can tell you that he was one of the bigger stars for me growing up watching these martial arts movies.
Right.
And I think Time Cop, if it's remake, it would be if it's written right correctly, it would be a great movie to rewrite and to bring back into the movie theaters. Not with him, but obviously, with like a new take on Time Cop. It's not a bad movie at all.
That story's. I mean, I think that story would be good as a series as well.
Oh yes, of course.
Actually, yeah, I see that better as a series. I actually agree with that. Like on Stars, something like not too hardcore, but like.
But you can get really deep and dark with that. With
sci-fi. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I totally see that.
So, but I mean, like I said, Van Damme. Obviously, you just brought him up.
Yeah. So is that your favorite? Is that your favorite Van Damme?
And that I have.
It's tough, man. He has a lot of them.
I have a lot, but Van Damme is probably my top Yeah, he's definitely my number one.
No, but he's number one. Right?
Number
when it comes
one.
to martial arts action, I think he's the best one. Is Time Cop
your favorite Van Damme movie?
No, of course not. No.
What's yours?
No.
We'll start with yours. What is yours? Since you were talking.
My favorite Van Damme movie.
Yeah,
it's
try to pick one.
Bloodsport.
It is Bloodsport.
Bloodsport by far is my favorite Van Damme movie.
By far,
it is a great movie.
By far,
it's a great movie.
It is my favorite Van Damme movie because I mean, guys.
That's the one where he's blind, right? That's the one where he starts fighting blind at the end.
Yes. It has so many iconic moments. That movie is a classic. That's a cult classic movie. I don't care what anybody tells me.
That movie has a lot of things, man. It has one of the best detectives in Forrest Whitaker. And when I say best, I mean he's the worst detective I've ever seen in a movie.
Running down on those boats when they were chasing him.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, mine is Street Fighter, of course. You know, I'm gonna kick M. Bison so hard to the next M.
There's
Bison.
no way
horrible.
that's your favorite one.
Street Fighter is gonna get its own episode eventually. We're gonna talk on that, but not today.
That movie's bad. Actually, but I want to say Universal Soldier.
That's a great movie.
There's some bad moments. There's some bad moments in that movie.
Oh, there's terrible moments in that movie.
I just want to eat. But I think it's the Universal Soldier. If not, it's the Quest, which is not one of the
I remember the Quest.
Yeah,
but that's a little later.
That's
taking
it's one of his later ones.
That's taking a lot of movies and putting it on together, though.
Yeah,
I know exactly. That's why because it's a lot of films packed together.
So wait, I want to get back to the first two movies we brought up, the Kickboxer and Bloodsport. Which one of the villains do you think is better?
Oh, come on, Chun-Li for sure, man. That guy.
I think the villain for Kickboxer was the scariest one.
Yeah, he's creepy looking.
I think that whole scene with what made it creepy though was putting on that glass on his hands to go at it.
Yes, that's what it is.
I think that's the part that I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, now we're going away from the martial arts part. We try to kill each other here now.
This just got real. This just got real.
Well, I feel like in that last fight scene, Tung Po had like special powers where he's just knocking over pillars. He's knocking over pillars.
Yeah.
He's Sagat.
Yeah.
He's Sagat. Who?
Personally, I prefer Bloodsport's last fight scene because it's more dramatic with the whole eye thing and he can't see and
it's it's amazing. I can reenact that whole scene. Like it's
God,
I love
Double
that.
Impact.
I love that.
Double Impact.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Double Impact.
Don't do that. Well, you want to talk about it because look, Lionheart was actually I enjoy Lionheart.
That was good. Yeah, the street one.
Yeah,
but aren't they all kind of the same?
They're all the same.
They're all the same, but they're great.
I think we can edit.
He's fighting in tournaments.
I think we can
avenge some guy that got killed.
We can get about 4 or 5 of his movies and make it one whole movie. I think that's possible. I'm not even kidding. I think that's possible.
I don't think you are. I think you're 100% right.
I think MSK. I think you should jump on that. I think you should get about 4 or 5 of his movies and put them all together and see if anybody notices if they're different, like, or if it's a brand new movie coming out. I never before seen Jean-Claude in that movie.
This is a great movie. That's what they're gonna say.
Yeah,
Bloodsport, The Quest, Lionheart.
Yeah.
Even Street Fighter.
Even if you put in Street Fighter in there, I think that would work.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 6 movies or one movie.
Yeah.
Well, I could put Street Fighter in like another, like if there's a scene where he's watching TV, he's watching Street Fighter because there's no way that he could be in. Street Fighter
he's
can't
watching
be in
himself in the TV.
In the TV.
Yeah, all the diner scenes are the same one when he's eating in Universal Soldier and when he's dancing in Kickboxer.
Yeah.
And when he
oh my God, that dance scene in Kickboxer. That's like one of my favorite.
That is amazing.
Gifts.
The guy's going around he's starting drama around the bar, like telling all kinds of trash about him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So so fun fact about Jean-Claude Van Damme that I read was how he started his acting career. Did you guys know about that?
He's a dancer.
He was like an extra or something, right?
Yeah. So they got him to play the Predator.
What?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they chose him to actually be in the suit of the Predator.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he turned it down. I think they even shot a couple of scenes with him, and he didn't want to do that. He said no. Like I want my face out there.
I want to be the star.
Type of deal. And that's how he started acting. I swear that was Jean-Claude Van Damme's
That's amazing.
breakthrough.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool story.
Yep.
That's pretty wild. No, but what's funny is that, and then when you think, especially Van Damme with it, because I know he was a dancer too. That's why I don't know if he was that kind of dancer, but I believe that he had a background in like ballet.
Yeah,
and
right.
Like which explains all the stretching. And
Well, I
stuff.
mean, makes sense. Look at those splits. Nobody can do that. Just
He could still
to
do that,
it.
which is crazy.
Yeah, of course. No, it's amazing. He's still in the stuff he does now. Oh man, but I mean, you have so many. I mean, Wesley Snipes. I mean, he had Passenger 57. Like
Right.
he was in that era too. The later half of the Lethal
Yes.
Weapon with Mel Gibson, and when he did martial arts too, but more like military, special forces, martial arts. And it all kind of jumped around. I think most of that comes from like. I'm gonna say this is a good one. How many of them they do, I don't know. But American Ninja, and I'm bringing that up because he was a soldier. Yeah, because he was special forces. I did bring it up because he's special forces, but then he's a ninja.
Yeah.
And then how many did they do?
I remember the first movie being more of like a military thing, but then when they get to like American Ninja 2 or 3, I just remember this specific scene of different ninjas wearing different colors, right?
Yes.
And they're like training on top of a mountain. Do you guys remember which movie that was?
I don't care.
I think that's part 3.
I remember seeing that. I'm like, man, there's a lot of ninjas wearing rainbow colors.
There were
like,
so many of those movies, though. There was.
Dude, maybe that's where that Mortal Kombat came from. That's where you got Sub-Zero and Scorpion from American Ninja.
Yeah, maybe that's where they trained. Maybe that's where they're trained.
Get over here.
No, but I remember that scene.
Say,
I got to find out which one it is, but
I don't know. American Ninja.
I think it's part 3.
3, maybe.
I think it's
maybe
3.
3.
I think it's 3.
I don't know.
Yeah, if you IMDb, I'm pretty sure it's 3 because I think
No,
that's
I'm
the
not
first one I ever
IMDb.
saw.
I'm just taking a guess.
I think it's 3 because I think that's the first one I ever saw. You know, I didn't know there was a part 2 and a part 1, and that's what I say. When you go back, like it just transitioned from like kind of what the Chuck Norris movies were and what I was talking about Universal Soldier, where it started out more military.
It was more like a Delta Force in the first movie.
Special forces, yeah, and they just turned into like, oh man, that's another one that. I don't know, man. I don't know if those are good, bad, or bad. Just bad, because I haven't rewatched.
No,
I'm
gonna say those are bad.
Yeah, I'm not interested to rewatch any of that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's just like bringing up Don the Dragon Wilson. I mean, we just had to put him out there.
Oh my
like,
God, are you really bringing up Don the Dragon?
I'm bringing him up. I'm bringing him up, guys. I mean, we can't talk.
Stuff.
We can't talk about American Ninja and not talk about Don the Dragon Wilson.
I think I'd rather move on to either Jackie Chan or Jet Li.
Yeah, Jackie Chan. We haven't talked about any Jackie Chan movies.
Jackie Chan was. I'm gonna turn it out.
Don? Are you kidding me? Cinemax
going right
with
over
your
it.
illegal cable box? Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about? What
That's
legal
so
cable?
true.
What, yo?
No,
you're
no,
gonna
no.
act
I don't
like
know
you
what you're
guys
talking
didn't have an
about.
illegal
I don't know what
box
you're
back then?
Robobox,
talking about.
the Robobox, the best invention ever, where you had 2 pay-per-view channels
Yes.
that played the same movie over
Yes.
and over again all day.
And after
you had to wait
12,
a week till the new one came out.
and after 12, things went
No,
down
man,
in those
I'm
movie boxes. Don't, guys, do not put, don't act, don't act like I was the
didn't have my
only
own
person
box.
back then.
Nah, man, that was the family. That was the family
I don't know
box,
what you're
man.
talking
That
about,
wasn't.
man.
That wasn't the
There's
private
no
quarters
illegal
box at all.
anything.
Are you guys kidding me right now? You guys didn't have an illegal box?
You know what's funny?
Stop it.
You know what's funny? That is where you saw specifically Cinemax was action, and then now you're saying after midnight it was action.
Yeah.
But it was that is where you did see most of those. If you remember, it is where you saw most of those movies. You know what I mean? Like it was, because and no one was watching. I mean, how well did those movies do box office wise in the theaters? Like seriously, I don't know how you could take those. I mean, they had to. There was the movies of the era.
I don't even think those movies went straight to DVD. Those movies were just on TV, right?
Yeah.
Like they never went to DVD. Like they were just on TV.
There was no DVD back
Well,
then.
they went on to VHS.
Yeah.
Right. No, but I'm saying like they never went straight to video. They were just like straight to
I know, yeah.
straight
Straight
to
to
the
TV.
Blockbuster.
Straight to TV.
This is before Blockbuster. You just had the action. It was the action section, and then just like during that time, half of it was martial arts. Like they broke it down. I mean, they had action, and then they had martial arts action, and that's where you started getting the Jackie Chan's and the Bruce Lee's and that stuff.
And Don the Dragon
Wilson, and I think they broke it on by actor too. I think they would have the actor and like the 30 movies he made that year. There's like 5 of the same movie over and over again of what they did.
So wait, we haven't touched on Jackie Chan yet. What are the Jackie? Some of the
Jackie Chan was
Let's
great,
get the
man.
good stuff then. Let's start going into the good stuff.
Listen, man, Rumble in the Bronx was like, that was just great. His action, I mean, to this day, I mean, when you talk about the rush hours and stuff like that, and even the Shanghai, or the Noon and Shanghai Nights or whatever, the different stuff. He still does it. His action, number one, besides the fact that he's doing his own stunts, laying the way for like guys like Tom Cruise that are all being renowned for now. Guys broken every bone in his body and then some. And that was actually my favorite part because Rumble in the Bronx, the first one I saw in the theaters, and the post credits of seeing the stunts and the bloopers. And him getting messed up, it was great. And I'm like, man, I gotta see. And he does that in all his movies. I'm like, I gotta see this stuff. This is awesome. And then like it dubs, but the action sequences are so great because he's really doing them, and he's using props and using the surroundings and just climbing up walls. Like if there's a ladder built in, and it's not just a straight up flush wall. He was doing parkour before parkour existed. And man, he was one of those guys that he blew up more in the early 90s, and I think Rumble in the Bronx is the one that did it for him. But he had a bunch of stuff that also they started re-releasing dubbed here in the States, and like Super Cop or whatever. I looked at them like, wait, this movie's from 1979.
I'll get to Super Cop in a second because I love Super Cop. But real quick, Rumble in the Bronx, I gotta tell you, for it like you said, it was one of the ones that was like, man, who is this guy? Like, this guy's doing everything, going crazy with his stunts. But I'll always remember Rumble in the Bronx since my family grew up in the Bronx, how they would watch that movie, and the first thing they would say is, man, there are a lot of mountains in that movie. Like a lot of mountains. And we don't remember mountains in the Bronx.
Because obviously it wasn't filmed in the Bronx.
But it was just like Rumble in the Bronx, but it looks nothing like New York. It's insane.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that.
That's one of the funniest things about
these movies. How you can find things like that, and you're like, wait a minute, it's
ridiculous.
Not real.
It's not real. No, but he's great, man. Jackie Chan with his stunts. And two movies that are my favorites from him are Super Cop and Drunken Master.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome movies.
Yes. Drunken Master is so funny.
Drunken Master goes more into the kung fu. Like I like that one particularly. I don't see as much as a martial arts action movie. I see it more of a, I almost think kung fu goes into a separate bracket because that's when you start going to the Bruce Lee and
But Drunken Master is almost like a comedy because
that's not even Bruce Lee. That's more like it's definitely a comedy.
But that's what he brought into it,
and I appreciate him for that. Was to be able to bring that comedy into it. He brings
the comedy. Yeah, and then you have, there's so much. I mean, Chuck Norris was a great one back in the day. I want to bring that one up. Sidekicks, before we get to a necessity, which will kind of lead into that, and we got to do our thing. But Sidekicks with Chuck Norris was that early 90s, and it's not retro action because it's not like shooting and a villain or a bad guy, but it does that because the kid's hero is Chuck Norris. He's playing himself, Chuck Norris. And they have the dream sequences of that, of the Chuck Norris retro action stuff. So it still has it in there. And it has, and that's why I feel like that. I think that movie was doing a nostalgia movie before all these nostalgia movies were coming out.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
These kids' daydreams are these nostalgia movies of Chuck Norris of what he's doing his youthful action sequence stuff, and then it has that better story to it where it's a kid relatable movie like a Three Ninjas and another one.
But that movie, it was I remember that movie specifically because I had like a really bad case of bronchitis that year.
Oh yeah, he had the asthma thing,
and he had the asthma thing. So I was like, oh man, he's like me. We can't breathe. That's crazy. and I would daydream all the time in school, just like that kid, like every single time.
I get that though. I totally get that, and that's what that movie was aiming for. And what's his name was what's his name? From SNL, the villain in the end.
Rob Schneider.
Sidekicks was. Everything. I can't remember.
It was Joe Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo. There we go.
Joe Piscopo.
Which he's
Johnny
funny in that
Dangerously.
movie.
That's where I always remember him from.
Yeah, he's funny in that movie. He's like dieseled in that movie, which is great because then Chuck Norris has his moment. But I like that one because it really builds into it. And then I think that's a great lead-in for Yo Pieces.
Wait, before because we skipped one movie. You know that we skipped one movie though.
We skipped a lot of movies, man. And
we skipped a lot of movies.
We're gonna have to do another episode of all these other movies.
And that's only us taking like from the mid 80s to the mid 90s.
Mid 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine doing a whole list of these things.
Yeah, we literally could have just done 85 to 89 and then the separate episode of 90.
Yeah, we should try that next time. Break it down by a couple of years.
Yeah,
but
5 years.
We missed Three Ninjas, man. We talked about Surf Ninjas and we didn't even mention Three Ninjas.
I know. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves
Emily. No?
The best guy in that movie is Colt, without a doubt.
By far.
By far, the best ninja in that movie is Colt.
Colt's the middle brother,
and then
right?
Tum Tum.
Tum
Tum's the big. But Colt's the middle brother, or Colt's the older?
No, Colt's the middle brother.
Middle.
Rocky's the older one.
Yeah,
Colt's the blue.
You know what?
The blue
You
one.
guys don't realize it. He's the Raphael of the bunch.
He is. He's the more.
He is. Isn't it what you like? Where he's not the one made to be leader, but because Rocky's the leader.
We're not doing this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle little war right now.
Oh, that's a different. That's a different.
By far, Mikey and Donatello. By far.
No. Raphael.
Leonardo's best. Leonardo's best. I don't know what you guys talking about.
But yeah, man. Like I said, we have this list. This list is it's just
It's long.
It's just over the top of our head. We'd even.
Yeah.
I don't think we even studied this. We didn't even look through a list or anything. We just went into this
episode,
podcast blind.
It's mostly winged. And I'll tell you now, like I think that Three Ninjas sidekicks, it's gonna go perfectly into it. Get out of the way before Yopies gives you the website info and all that. Again, it's gonna be sunriseflorida.gov/Comic-Con August 10th. We're going to be doing 3 topics. Speaking of retro, I'll give you one of those. We're going to be doing retro Saturday morning cartoons. That's good luck. I don't know how we're going to do this because we couldn't do this.
We're going to have to. We're going to have to review, prepare.
Believe it or not, we might have that one.
Prepare.
We might have an hour and a half on that one. But that's going to be fun because wow, like it's going to be a broad range, even broader than this, I think so. But yeah, that's just one topic we're going to do in one of our panels. We'll be tabling all day. It's August 10th, Saturday, but just go to the website and you'll be able to get tickets, and we'll give more of a breakdown in the next episode coming up as we get closer to August. And that's what I have to say about the Sunrise Comic-Con.
You can listen to us on fanaticallycorrect.com. There we have our links. You can go to our Spotify, our iTunes, our Google Play. You have other links for our Instagram, our Twitter, and our Facebook. You can follow us on that website. It also links our specifically our Twitter account. We'll have updates on there. You have a link where you can give us an email, tell us how you feel about the show, and that's on the tell us section. And if you can, we ask for you to go to your iTunes. If you do have iTunes, and review us, please go there, review us, tell us how our show is doing, or a phone number. We have a phone number if you really care about calling us, which is 786-704-8404. But we're not going to pay if it's out of area code. So
nope, not at all.
So if it's a call from Lithuania or from France,
Yemen
or
whatever,
don't check your phone provider.
Make sure
you're on your own.
We don't pay.
Before Yopies gets the necessity, definitely check out our Instagram. Recently we had a great little clip of some excellent John Wick training sound effects. You gotta check that out. I'm personally was very
I shared this with you guys, and I was caught by surprise when this came through into our Instagram.
It was funny. It had to be up. It had to go up.
Yopies, I gotta say, he's gonna take this necessity away, but I just want the audience to know there's a specific reason, because we're waiting to the necessity. We obviously skipped a big retro martial arts film, and that's what I was talking about. Three Ninjas got into it, and Sidekicks got into it. And Yopies, what is that necessity?
Well, our necessity, it's a brand new show. It's a YouTube original, and it's called Cobra Kai. Now, Cobra Kai, if you remember, back in the 80s, was this movie called The Karate Kid.
Never heard of it.
No? Okay. Well, since you've never heard of it, let me give you a little twist into what this movie is about, right? There's this guy who goes into this new town. He doesn't know any martial arts. He goes into this new high school. He beats up this guy. This guy actually beats him up. He starts learning some kung fu. Just kidding.
Karate.
He starts learning some karate.
That you're mixing up the Jackie Chan one.
He starts learning some karate, and then at the end of the movie, he's missing a leg and arm. He's missing everything.
Wait, what movie?
And he just uses one leg.
And he wins this. He wins this battle at the end. No, but it's the Karate Kid, man. Like you've seen this movie. you've seen this movie, The Karate Kid. Well, now Cobra Kai takes you back into the future where life has hit these guys, and one guy is more successful than the other because of that moment that they had in The Karate Kid.
That fight.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And let me tell you, season 1, it's amazing. It's not. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you that it's kids friendly because it isn't. I'm telling you right now, it's not kids friendly. Yeah. But I will tell you that my kids watched it and they love it. It's not kids friendly. Yeah. There are things that you're gonna have to either try to explain or close their eyes or whatever it is. But for the most part, it is something that if they're old enough or whatever, they are able to watch. And it's just so much fun. And I was the guy that was against it. I'm telling you right now, from the get-go, I was like, nope. Yeah. And I am 100% in.
What's funny with this Nerdcessity is that MSK and myself, speaking of cons,
I was going to bring that up.
We saw Ralph Macchio at the panel in the con, and I'll let MSK talk more about that.
So what's funny about that is Omega and myself a couple of years, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, we went to SuperCon and we went to the Ralph Macchio panel, and we mainly went to that panel to rest because we were walking around and dying of the heat of how many people were in that con. But his panel was actually very interesting. And one of the things he spoke about is someone had asked him in the crowd if there would ever be like a remake of the original Karate Kid or if he would be involved in something. And in that panel, he was like, we're working on something. It's going to be different. But if you're a fan of the original movies, you're going to like what we're doing. And me and Omega were like, okay, that sounds very weird.
He wouldn't specifically say like a continuation because someone had brought up something about Karate Kid specifically. Yeah. In this panel, he won't specifically admit to doing this, but like MSK was saying, it was a good panel because he's another one of these guys, very fan friendly. I don't know about now because he's blown up again, but at that time, very fan friendly. He was doing the reciting stuff from The Outsiders again, and I mean, he's
My Cousin Vinny. He was telling us about stuff from My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, exactly. It was just hilarious because that's one of his best. I mean, that's his best role ever. I'm sorry, I mean,
but he brought up the fact that he didn't want to make it a gimmick. He didn't want to make it that Daniel comes back and makes his own dojo and he pretends to be like a Mr. Miyagi type thing. He wanted to make it more natural, and I guess that's where Cobra Kai comes in. I've seen trailers of Cobra Kai, and it seems more like those people grew up to be adults and do their own thing, but also they have this past. But it's not like he's Mr. Miyagi now. That's what I'm getting from it, at least.
So you have to watch the show. I cannot give away more. I'm telling you guys. I can guarantee you that I was the guy that was against it. I'm telling you. Yeah. I was saying no from the beginning. Yep. Once I heard about it, I didn't want to even deal with it, and it has become one of my favorite. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite YouTube originals. I've seen a couple of YouTube originals, and it's definitely my favorite one that they have by far.
Yeah, that's a good stuff. That's a good pick, Yopis. I mean, I know you've been telling me for a while to check that out. So now that it's going to be free on YouTube, I'll definitely get on that.
I get it, man. I get it. That's the necessity, the fanatically correct necessity. So just watch.
So there you go. Check out Cobra Kai. If not, check out the list of if you haven't seen any of that stuff, go back, watch it, maybe rewatch it, see if it still holds up in your opinion. And I think this is definitely something we're going to be touching base again and come back to, just like a lot of our topics. It's a broad range. So that's, I guess that'll be it for us. So this is Omega saying peace.
MSK, peace out.
Yo, peace. Peters.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Fanatically Correct. Until next time, you crazy kids. Signing off.